Church, by the way. I think we'll find time and speak about the new developments that may have transpired. And then our job is to scrutinize those big stories that make rounds of headlines in the country and outside Uganda. My name is Simon Chris Makanga, and as usual, I'm with...
Well, a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the First Show once again. We had a long weekend, and I love coming to the First Show. I love being here on camera. I love being with you people. But I mean, everybody loves a weekend, and I'm sure some of us would want the weekend to extend to 3 days and all that. I don't agree with Simon Chris when he says that 2020 has been a dark year. For me, 2020 has been one of those amazing, beautiful years that have taught us how to be different, how to change from what we are to something different. However, for you who is in their bedroom right now watching us, I say thank you for being part of the show. If you have your phone and you're looking at your TV on your phone and you're watching us on your phone, I say thank you. Again, welcome to the First Show. Good morning, Simon Chris Makanga.
Good morning, Latifa.
How are you doing?
I think even if I call you Latifa, it's just enough.
You can call me whatever you want. You can add the other names that I have. Latifa Hamid Hassan Michelle.
Musolong Kidi.
That's my name, and I was just going to say it. Anyways, tell me, Simon, how was your weekend?
My weekend was quite good. I spent my Sunday at home. I went to the gym and then spent time with family, of course. Saturdays, I'm always here. In a nutshell, my weekend was good. Great, amazing. Yourself?
Well, mine wasn't bad. I had an amazing time with family. We had boat rides, we went out for lunch, so it was a whole family get-together, and I think it's beautiful for families to think about getting together on Sundays and having fun together, even if there's a COVID-19 issue.
You're among the few Ugandans who are living a good life amid this pandemic.
I'm among the few Ugandans who have decided to make lemonade out of the lemon that life has given us. That's the difference, though.
Okay.
So for you who thinks life has been dark in 2020, I think life has been okay. And it's about how you phrase what is happening to fit who you are and fit what you want life to look like, really.
Meanwhile, abekatwegatako twengera okubaniriza ku the First Show eranga yeno eshetandika olunaku twogera ku nnaku 5 mu wiki eranga tutandika ku balaza mpaka ku lunaku olwokutaano wabula twogera ku bintu bingi ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga eranga wiki ewedde Uganda was quite busy. Bintu bingi byali bigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga. Twalaba aba members of parliament naddala wano mu central Buganda aba DP bakrosing ogenda mu NUP, General Kaguta Museveni yayogerako eri eggwanga, and then church gye baamenya. So lots of things did happen. However, we want to start with some other headlines that made rounds of headlines. Latifa?
NRM local chairpersons are very, very happy today on Monday. They received 68,000 yellow bicycles, so they'll be riding bicycles.
I love when you say yellow.
Oh, they are yellow, Chris. Those bicycles are painted yellow.
Okay.
So they have received 68,000 yellow painted bicycles for the LC chairmen. Yes, that was a long-term project. They started it in 2019 and we expected it to happen in 2019, but then finally it happened in 2020. And the president made it sure to inform people that the money that comes from NRM is not from subscriptions, but from fundraising. That's what he said.
Wait a minute. Before we watch the video, he said, when did the project start?
2019.
19.
That's when it was supposed to start. And then they pushed it until 2021, and that's when, actually 2020, entering 2021.
Let's first watch the video, then I'll bring my comment later.
You always have something to say, don't you?
Get up, get you. Enara boy, Naputa oye.
Address.
You people send it to Mama Janet's account. I refused the big salaries of the government. because I don't believe in them. So I ended up getting 3.6 million, and 20% of that goes for the NRM every month. That's about 700,000 shillings, I think. Namayanja can later on tell you, maybe on another briefing, how many other NRM leaders contribute monthly. But there are not many. It's mainly the members of parliament. At one time we were talking of the district chairpersons, but I don't think that it has ever been implemented. Not yet. So I think in the Secretary General's report, you have to bring out those members who contribute monthly from their salaries. So that's one little source of money for the party.
Well, we have seen the yellow, 68,000 yellow bicycles. The LC1s and LC3s are actually very happy right now, but the sub-county chairmen are going to be happier because they're receiving motorcycles, and then the chairmen are actually going to be happier because for them, they are receiving cars for mobilization in the 2021 general election. Someone, Chris Makanga, what's it about? The bicycles, they're there. They're very many, and the president said it needs to help them with mobilization in the district, sub-county, and local levels. Well, you know, the thing about NRM is I like their organization. Despite the very many things that they lack and the very many things that they have done, their mobilization is exquisite. I love the way they organize themselves. I like the way they get together. I like the way they mobilize their funds, although some people would say they get them from taxes. But I mean, at the end of the day, they're a very organized
But if
party.
somebody says that we have support of the Maje, what stops you from thinking that they have support, they have financial support
let's go
as
back
well?
to the
Meanwhile,
bicycles.
Before we go, but let's not go there.
Let's go
talk
back to the
about
bicycles. Yes.
I want to applaud the NRM party for remembering the NRM supporters. We have people in the villages who have been diehards of the party from time memorial. Let me say from the time the party was introduced. There are people who have been serving this regime and the party itself, and they had never been remembered. So I think giving them bicycles to mobilize during this campaign is something that we can recommend, or something commendable. However, the president also said that bamusalako million emitwalo nsanvu out of his salary, out of the 3.6 million shillings that he receives monthly, bamujjako emitwalo nsanvu nezigenda mu contribution oba mu nsawo y'ekibiina ekya NRM. Era n'agamba nti yagambye Kasule Lumumba okuvaayo awandiike ba members abalala be basalako ssente nga zigenda okuyambako ba members of parliament in particular be bajjako ssente okulaba nga ziyambako okuddukanya ekibiina. However, Latifa, if I may flip and look at the other side of the coin, any Ugandan would be wondering that after all this long that the NRM chairpersons have been in support of the party. Actually, when you look at the previous elections, Akalwa Kagwa Kaba chairman local council 1, abasinga, let me say 90% ba NRM bebali akalulu. Now here when you look at Chibaba Diza, Zindabanga, it's not worth. First and foremost, those people do have bicycles, and it's been their dream to at least acquire a motorcycle.
And then a car later.
And then,
they have
yes,
the opportunity to do that, Simon Chris. But they're from being local council chairmen, sub-county. It's about campaigns. It's about elections. Get elected, get yourself a motorcycle. Get elected, get yourself a car. There you go.
Oh. I don't think that's a Uganda we wanted to live. Meanwhile, they could receive more than that besides the bicycle. They've really done more good than harm. Chairman Wechalo, nze mkulaba okwange, Chairman Wechalo akola emirimu gy'amaanyi nnyo. Even in the previous address by the president, when he was speaking about corruption or launching social media as a measure of fighting corruption, yavayo na acknowledging n'agamba nti yali atandika governance of this country yalowooza nti chairman local council 1 and 3 would help more in fighting against corruption. So if they can be that relevant, then why reward them something that's more?
They're more relevant than that. These guys have helped in mobilizing for the NRM party because remember, they're the ones who are down. They're the ones who are with the people and the ones that know the people. Yes, they're the ones that have mobilized for that long. And personally, I think we start from somewhere. Let us pick a leaf and then we'll build a tree and then
Latifa,
all that.
To be honest, it's a good
initiative.
It's a good initiative. And it's a good campaigning strategy. Kuba yagambye nti bw'owulira kengerenge kuba ng'omanyi wa NRM akoze eki ayingiddeho.
Well, away from that, Simon Chris Makanga, we're now looking at Andrew Lwanga, the journalist who was beaten during the demonstration of the unemployed youth. And the guy has been given 268 million Ugandan shillings for the pain that he got and the injuries that he got during that time. What would you do, Simon Chris Makanga, with 268 million Ugandan shillings?
Of course, it can't do anything. For someone who has been battling an illness from 2015 up to date, those are about 5 years. You can imagine, it's even less.
I know,
really
actually,
less.
if you look at what happened, from 2015, he went into court and he was awarded the money in 2017. And this guy has been traveling out of the country for treatment. He has been battling the pain that he went through. And we're looking at the FFU, and they're the ones that are standing there with the gun, and he's being dragged. All this pushes us into looking at media freedom. In Uganda, we have been, celebrated. Uganda has been celebrated for having media freedom more than other countries. However, if you look at the level of freedom journalists have enjoyed in Uganda, it is questionable, especially during the campaigns. And now that the 2021 general elections are coming up, we're skeptic. Because everything you say, everything you do, everything you tweet as a journalist is being questioned. And if you're not careful, you'll end up either being beaten or taken behind bars. And that makes us question whether the freedom of expression that they're saying journalists have, the freedom to report, is it real?
Actually, it's true. We have freedom of expression, we have freedom of speech. And unless if you don't talk about some other people.
That's what I'm saying. How is it freedom when you have an unless in your statement? How is it freedom?
That's a Uganda we live in. Meanwhile, the torture of this gentleman, Lwanga, it does mean a lot to journalists, by the way.
It does.
There was also an independent journalist that was beaten during the Tojikwatako saga. That person also needs to be heard because he had to be he traveled to US for treatment first and foremost. He also needs to be compensated. And this reminds me of the death of Jamal Khashoggi. It now shows that, like you're saying, we are going into an election period. Journalists are going to be very active. Together, we are so active than usual. And we are prone to being subjected to any kind of torture by the forces.
Yes.
And this should also be a warning that a journalist is not someone you can just joke with and then you walk away.
I like how you look at things, Simon Chris Makanga. However, see, the thing about this is this guy was tortured during the Kale Kaihura time. And now we're seeing that Kale Kaihura has been released and he's back. And people are asking, what does it mean for him to be released nearing the election? What does it mean for journalists? What does it mean for Uganda? What does it mean for the elections themselves? And we have the LDUs who are also coming back in the streets of Kampala very soon because they finished their training and would like they are and would like to welcome them back.
By the way,
however, it scares us for the elections and the campaigns because you know how rowdy these two things can get in Uganda. I have seen posters being put up. Last time I was going back home from work at around 7 p.m. and then I see two trucks. One is an ambulance and then one is a small car and they have a ladder. So they move around, putting the ladders on trees and the ambulances on the ladders on walls, and they're putting posters. So the town is littered with posters, and that gives us the view that the campaigns and the elections have started. And again, like I said, there's fear of what will happen. How will the security forces behave in the elections that are coming up?
Truth be told, Luanga's scenario, apparently, it's a lesson. Though it happened quite 5 years ago,
yes.
It's a lesson, one, for the journalists, two,
for the security,
security or the forces who are going to be operating during these campaigns. Actually, they have a budget. If they're really going to be very active, as usual, we expect them to be civilized. We expect them to respect human rights. We expect them to respect journalists as usual.
Well, that is there also. Now, going back to a more positive, more celebrated win that Uganda has had in the COVID-19 5,000 meters, Joshua Cheptegei, congratulations. We had Jen Ruth Acheng, we had Rebecca Kadaga, and we had the president go to the Twitter room and then celebrate him by congratulating him on Twitter and saying thank you so much for raising Ugandan's flag high. Now, Cheptegei broke the 16 years world record set by the Ethiopian guy. He's called Kanenasi Bikele. He was the one who held the record. And now our own Uganda, Cheptegei, has taken the record. Congratulations to you. And we thank you from the first show for raising the Ugandan flag high. However, he came back and now he has gone into isolation like any other Ugandan who has gone outside the country and has come back into the country and is looking at, you know, the fact that he must go into a 14 days isolation. So for those who are out there and you're coming into the country and you feel like, no, I am the president's daughter and I can't go into isolation, you should learn a lesson from Cheptegei, and it is for your own good and the people who are around you. Simon Chris.
Yes, I was listening to what you're saying, and I also need to acknowledge this, that record Cheptegei yamenye yali yatekebwa mu mwaka gwa 2024 era nga yakolebwa mu Ethiopia bamuyita Kenenisa Bekele era ngeno yaddukira seconds eddakiika 12 ne seconds 37 n'obutundu 35 wabula Cheptegei yagimenyeewo.
With 2-3 more headlines before we go into our topic of discussion. For now, the first show returns.
Akakiiko k'ebyokulonda kategese ennaku ez'okulonda obukiiko bw'abantu abakiikirirwa ab'enjawulo special interest groups omuli abakadde older persons, abaliko obulemu persons with disabilities n'abavubuka youth ku mutendera gw'ebyalo. Okulonda kw'obukiiko buno kujja kubeerawo ku nnaku ez'enjawulo ezirambikiddwa bwammanga mu byalo byonna okwetooloola eggwanga. Okulonda obukiiko bw'abaliko obulemu PWDs ku byalo kwakubaawo nga 13 Ogw'omunaana 2020. Okulonda obukiiko bw'abavubuka youth ku byalo kwakubaawo nga 17 Ogw'omunaana 2020. Akalulu kakwetabwamu abo bokka abagwa mu biti ebiwaggulu eby'enkizo era nga kusimba mu mugongo gwa candidate gw'oyagala okulonda oba ekipande kye, agenti we oba akabonero ke. Bonna abagenda okwetaba mu kalulu kano balina okugoberera ebiragiro by'akakiiko k'ebyokulonda awamu ne gavumenti ya Uganda ne minisitule y'ebyobulamu okulwanyisa ensansana y'ekirwadde kya COVID-19. Mu bino mulimu okwewa amabanga, okunaaba mu ngalo kw'ossa n'okwambala obukookolo.
Bampita Dr. Franklin Mondo Mugisha wano ku STV biri ku makyakera nange nga twogera ku nsonga ez'enjawulo, engeri tusobola okwezimba mu ggwanga lyaffe, engeri tusobola okuzimba gye tubeera gye tuva, wategedde obwavu lwa kibuluma, mikwano gy'abaavu baani, otambula otya, osula otya. Okusalawo okwo okw'obulamu kutandikira ku nfunayo. Emikwano gy'abagagga n'abaavu tusobola ogitegeera no ku STV. Tugenda kwogera ku nsonga z'aba Queen. Tutambula tutya kukyusa omulembe gw'abawala baffe kubanga bafuuka babuvunaanyizibwa era nga bakozi nga banoonyi ba kikumi. Tugenda kwogera ku bakanyama bazimba batya emibiri, ye omubiri bwe gulimu ssente oba bwe bulamu bwe twetaaga. Omukazi tasobola kuleka musajja w'emmotoka mukaaga mbakute akwate 6 pack abufune mubatambule naye wano ku STV. Big network. See ya.
once again and welcome back from that slight break. Glad you are still watching the first show. My name is Simon Chris Makanga. Now, tujjukira nti ng'ennaku z'omwezi 18 omwezi gwali gwa kusatu. Mukulembeze gwanga yogerako eri ensi yattu Uganda. Era nga yateeka ensi ku muggalo kaŋŋambe kuba yagamba nti amasomero gali suspended for 32 days and other economies. But I want to stick on the schools that were suspended for 32 days. Then later on, nakomawo nagatira ddala ku muggalo. Era nga ne wetwogera ssaawa zino, we don't know the future of education in Uganda. Mpozi tujjukira nti mu kwogera okuseeyo kwasembayo in regards to COVID-19, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni yagamba nti tubaweemu omwezi gumu. Maybe the government will be able to have the vaccine, or if not, Uganda will be among the countries that will have the COVID-19 vaccine. Newe twogera kati abasomesa babonabona wadde nga yafuteekawo billion 2 okuteeka mu nsako z'aba private teachers, naye abamu tebalinze ssente ezo. Batandise okukola bye bakola, mulimu abasiika chapati, mulimu ne bwe bakutte nga yabadde alima enjaga about 40 acres of marijuana mu Kakiri mu district ye Wakiso. Latifa, I know you have you could be having relatives who are teachers. Many have deviated from teaching and resorted to doing something else. Let's focus on the teacher who resorted to doing marijuana farming.
For me, let us focus on marijuana. See, this is a very important discussion, Simon Chris Makanga. It's not even laughable.
Yeah, I know it's not
because
laughable,
now when you
course,
look at this teacher who started a marijuana farm and was supposed to earn a living from it and has been stopped by police. This is a guy who thought, okay, I'm going into farming. You know, agriculture contributes a big percentage in our GDP. The backbone. So when you look at this guy, he wanted to go into agriculture. And for him, marijuana made more money than these other forms of agriculture. And he decided, I'm going to do marijuana. And see, the thing about the illegality of marijuana in Uganda, it was started in 1902 by the British, who decided very young, able-bodied men were not allowed to take marijuana in Uganda. Now, for them, it was a way of protecting their labor force from being lazy. When you look at marijuana, however, in the world, there's a different perspective of marijuana, what we call bangi in Uganda. A lot of people use it for medical use, okay? And 39 countries all over the world, plus a lot of other, other states have decided to legalize marijuana in their countries. Now, Uganda also thought about this. Uganda, according to Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, she said in 2015 is when this discussion started of legalizing marijuana in Uganda. And then guidelines were given on how these companies would produce marijuana for export and medicinal use in Uganda. Now, we have 90 companies that have already registered in Uganda to have marijuana legalized in the country. However, if you look at the conditions that have been put up for these countries to produce marijuana in the country, it's unfair because now the local people like that teacher who wants to get into the production of marijuana cannot do it. That is really unfair. And if he had, applied for that particular license, he would be doing this without being harassed by police. True. Because, Simon Chris, if you look at how much marijuana produces in Africa, it's between 18 to 63 billion US dollars. That is in Africa. That's how much illegal and legal marijuana produces in the country. Now, I feel like if Uganda bases itself in producing bangi as a business, exporting it as a business, we have a lot of revenue to collect. So we need to carefully look at this and see how we can conform ourselves into legalizing the production of marijuana and have it produced in the country, Simon Chris. See, if you look at how many Ugandans use marijuana, we are the 10th
Countries.
Africa, the 10th country in Africa to have the highest use of marijuana. We have 2.6 million Ugandans who use marijuana, young and old, and we have 83 million in Africa that use marijuana. So, I mean, let's look at this as a revenue collection opportunity for the country, rather than saying this is illegal, and we don't understand where the concept of illegality comes from.
Now, still looking 1 year ago, the government of Uganda sealed a deal to supply marijuana to Germany and Canada, and this was looked at to contribute about 1.1 trillion shillings. Okay? And this also was looked at as a source of income to so many Ugandans, employment to so many Ugandans, natural medicine, like you said.
Yes.
Then why come out and destroy about 40 acres? Ezomusomesa avuddeyo n'agamba sina kyendya sakoze batugamba forminga ne sente zennyini tezinnaba kutuuka, but you can't wait to feed your family. Then he chose to do farming oba okulima marijuana, 40 acres of land. Police yagenze nezisanyawo.
See, the thing about the Ugandan government, one of the conditions that it puts up for investors to start marijuana companies is have a minimum of 5 million tax, you know, a minimum of 5 million to start it and a guarantee of 1 million to start it. They said it should be away from the community, away from schools, and away from where, you know, you regularly have people in away from hospitals, and let it be isolated. However, if you have a guarantee of 1 million US dollars and a guarantee of 5 million Ugandan shillings, it's hard for a teacher like that who already has issues to start getting that money and putting it in the government before they start a marijuana farm. So I'm thinking the government should look at how they can involve Ugandans in the production of marijuana instead of making it, you know, a general a thing for only international investors to play part in this thing. And I know the scary part is that we've had an increasing number of mental illnesses attached to marijuana or cannabis use in Uganda. There's a lot of youth who have gone into the use of marijuana, and we've seen that Butabika Hospital has been filled with such youth because they abuse the drug. The word is abuse the drug, because look, if 25% of Ugandans are being put in hospitals, mental hospitals, for the use of marijuana, it's understandable that the government comes up and questions the growth of marijuana in the country. But again, like we've said over and over again, can we look at solutions rather than destroying properties? If the government of Uganda had instead used the 40 acres and legalized it. If you want to take it off the high school teacher's hands, go ahead and do it, because he doesn't know how to deal with medical marijuana, but find a way to sell it to someone else who can use it and pay him his money. But destroying it and banning it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think
marijuana wouldn't be a big deal, or destroying it wouldn't be a big deal, because I'm pretty sure that police's worry is that it gets, it lands into illegal hands.
Yes. That's why I'm saying secure it and make it legal. You know, let's find solutions instead of destroying things, is what I'm saying.
Now, one time a person asks me, Nambuza, Chris, lwaki bagana enjaga?
Lwaki bagana enjaga, indeed. Again, I've said it before, the 25% mental illnesses that we have in Uganda, and it's attributed to drug abuse. As simple as that.
Let's take a break, and we'll return with the topic of discussion, and we'll be back.
Abalamuzi babagamba, if the incumbent president frustrates all democratic means to leave power, temusibayo muntu n'omu kutwiza. This is why Besigye is released. Museveni ekibi kyalina talina mawulire. Nawandika n'ekitabo kyange, the role of witchcraft in the malicious society. Sapule njijjamu.
Noyingire sabo.
Katonda wa bujja. Nze Katonda w'obujja. Bw'oba olaga eri, sapule twegitwala. Omusajja omubbi bamujje ewuwe ewaka Kabanga lyezi ne bamujja ewuwe waka yabadde mu tooyi naye tebamukkiriza na tusanitize bamutadde buteesi mu piikaavu pa mu state house naye omukyayina bwe yawulidde nti ono bamukutte yeesize kiwi yayitiddeko yadduse ng'omuddugavu.
Hey guys, you're watching STV. Select for fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the first show. 40 acres of marijuana destroyed. A lot of people have a lot to complain about this. But again, it's the way we use it that forces the government of Uganda to... Chris, why are we laughing? Why are we excited about this marijuana topic?
Somebody says, you know, it's a topic that always gets heated up
yes,
in the Media House. No. Somebody says, Enjaga Simbi.
I know there's a lot of question on the legality of marijuana, and a lot of people have said, can we make it legal in the country?
But actually, our viewers may get confused because when they hear you say that in Jaga Simbi, Bainzolo was anti-now college. But that's not the case. That's not the case. When you look at the other positive side of it, it yields a what they need.
Exactly. A lot of us use it as medicine. We use it in our tea. I'm not going to put myself out there, but I mean it's medicine, and a lot of us know that. And there has been discussion on whether we should legalize it or not. But again, I will repeat it: with the rate of mental issues that we are having out of Bangi, it's questionable. On once you make it legal, we're going to have issues. Everybody is going to do it everywhere. So we have to have a sort of control over it. Now we're going into Perspective 2021 like we usually do, but before we go there, the independent hospitals, the independent hospitals under Dr. Ian Clark have come up to say they need the government to involve them in the fight against COVID-19. However, Dr. Ruth Acheng has also said that these private medical practitioners are charging too high for the COVID-19 tests. See, if you want to test for COVID-19, they're charging you 300,000 Ugandan shillings. Okay? And some people are looking at this move as a private medical practitioner's move to make more money from this. You understand, Simon, Chris? Because you can't charge someone 300,000 for a COVID-19 test. But let's look at Perspective 2021, and then we'll be back to discuss this and a lot more. And Simon Chris will also be reading us the few comments that you have on our Facebook pages.
Abakulembeze b'omu bitundu by'e Makindye, Rukuli ne Buziga bavuddeyo ne bakubiriza abalonzi baabwe okubukeza nkokolo olunaku olw'enkya bagende mu bifo ewalondebwa okusobola okulonda abakulembeze baabwe abajja okuli ba ssentebe ne bakansala.
Kuweereza abantu olunaku lw'enkya nkubiriza nnyo abavubuka mu Makindye Division D. Nsaba busebakeere ku makya nnyo ssaawa 2 babe nga batuuse we tulondera. Tunamala okulonda abachairman nga 27 tugenda kuba kansala ne BMP era tugenda mu kamyufu era mbakubiriza abantu ba Makindye byonna West Rukuli D bajje tusobole okuweereza abantu.
Mugumya Muhammad omukubeesimbyewo ku bwa kansala LC3 nga jidde ku kaadi ya NRM anokoddeyo ebimu ku bizibu ebiri mu kitundu kyabwe n'ayogera ne ku byasuubira okukola abatuuze singa bamulonda.
Nga njaga kuweereza abantu bankuba embeera gye bayitirwamu mbi nnyo. Abantu betwalonda tebaweereza bulungi nange nenvayo ngo wakadi ya NRM nsobola okuweereza abantu era nsuubira nja kuweereza bulungi kuba abantu balinamu obwesigwa. Nsuubiza okukolera abantu wemmala okuyita mu bwenti ensonga esooka ya kasasiro. Kasasiro atawanyiza abantu b'omukyombe tebanna waliwo omuntu atanna 5,000 bamutwalo gwasobola okuwaayo basobole okukola ki okugyayo kasasiro. kati wenna amalanzi okuyitamu nga kansala nja kujjanga nju ku nju nfune wenteeka obukutiya oba wiiki emu manya wiiki 2 mbe nga njanga kasasiro mujjamu abantu bange nja baweereza bulungi.
Ate ye ssentebe LC1 Sankara Erukuli Ssekimpi Kasim naye mu ngeri y'emu akubiriza abavubuka okwetaba mu kulonda abakulembeze olunaku lw'enkya n'akubiriza n'abo abanaalondebwa okuweereza abantu.
Olunaku lw'enkya tugenda kuba nga tulonda abavubuka ku bifo byonna ebisookerwako ku byalo, bakyamaani, basekuritaries, abawandiisi ku mitendera gyonna. Tuyambisa omukisa guno okutegeeza abavubuka baffe bonna abali mu Makindye nti enkya mwetabe mu kulonda, mugende babalonde ate babalonda muweereze. So omulamwa gwe tuliko gwe kulaba nti abavubuka abeesimbu abeesigwa bavaayo okujja basobola okuvuganya era bawangula ebifo ebyo ate bawangula ebifo baleme tuswaza ngaffe ababakunze ababayambyeko ne TV eno baleme giswaza kubanga buli kali muvuka agenda okuwangula yenna ekifo agenda kuba afunye ku ddoboozi ya TV eno ng'emuyambyeko.
Ono era yeebazizza omutandisi wa STV Haj Sulaiman Kabangala Mbuga amanyiddwa nga SK Mbuga olw'emirimu amakula gy'abakoledde.
Nga wawangalira abatuuze ab'amaanyi ennyo omuli n'omutuuze wange ow'erinnya mu Uganda Haji Sulaiman Kabangala abasinga gwe bamanyi nga SK Mbuga. Ekisooka kya byonna nja kwebaza nnyo TV eno ya STV olw'okuwa omukisa abakulembeze abato naddala abavubuka ne basentebe b'ebyalo kubanga TV tuziraba batuka okukyaza abantu bakyaza baminisita bapulezidenti bani tebalowooza ku muntu wa wansi. Awo no tulabyewo akabonero akagamba nti TV eno emanyi omuntu wa wansi era Haji tukwebaza okutuwa omukisa guno.
Yanza nnyo ne TV eno STV Nkulumbuga kutuweereza obulungi n'alumirira omuntu wa wansi nga ffe abavubuka n'atukyaza tujje twogereko eri aba.
Well, there you go. You heard it for yourself. Chairman Sankara Zone says that he thanks STV for actually giving chance to the youth to talk about their elections. And for you guys who are watching STV right now and you're wondering, who am I going to vote in the 2021 campaigns? There you go. Perspective 2021 by Adams Mayambala, our producer, will come in to show you the views that your different candidates have and you choose for yourself. You're like, okay, Nzenjagaloyo, he talked better than the other, and then you can choose for yourself. We're waiting for scientific campaigns to start so we can bring you a lot more people in these studios. However, now jumping back to Simon Chris, before you read the comments that have been put out there. Now, if you look at the private practitioners who said that they need the government to involve them, we've seen that the 13 deaths reported by the country have been reported from these private clinics. And they're asking the government to involve them, but they're expensive. What do you have to say?
I think this is one of the things we've been talking about every single day. We mention about the deaths that happen in the country. Tubali tukubira omulanga Ministry eby'obulamu involving aba private clinics. Kuba tulabula botunya death cases zonna ezibadde zijjawo zibabadde bava mu private clinics nti oli developing symptoms ne oba signs and symptoms naddukira mu kalwaliro akatono eyo gye bakizuulira nti abadde alina COVID. Ate weakness ya Ministry of Health gyeyina nti etestinga bafudde kitegeeza wabaddewo laxity within the Ministry of Health.
Look at this.
Chovola, yes.
Look at this. John Ruther Cheng is saying, you guys are too expensive. And then the private practitioners are saying, if you guys ask us to test lower than what we have right now, we're not going to meet the cost, but they want to be involved. Now, the local person from Kabalagala Kansanga from the ghetto has been, is sick with COVID-19 and is being taken to a hospital, a private hospital, and Bamu charging a 300,000 for just a test. Okay. When I don't have that money, what does it mean? I'm going to die in the hands of a private practitioner? This is where the Minister of Health comes in. Bwabanga chiri expensive to involve in the private clinics. Let there be easy flow of information. Information etuke ddala ku muntu wa wansi. Kuba ekisinga okumenya kiri nti ono developing the signs and symptoms naye tamanyi whether it is a flu, whether it is pneumonia or it's COVID-19. So kyetaagisa nti Minister of Health wabeerewo omuntu ayita ku kyalo. Bino ebintu ze tubyogera bulijjo Latifa nti wabeerewo information ebeere nga flowing mangu nnyo ku muntu owa wansi. And this has always been my cry that bachairman boku byalo, bachairman LC1 babeerabira, and this could be their primary job okulaba nga bategeeza abantu biki ebikwata ku COVID-19. Kiruma nnyo nti ne boyita ku kkubo ssaawa zino n'obuuza omuntu tulina cases mekeza COVID-19 ajja gamba simanyi. People lost count. And the funny thing is, the cases are increasing day by day. We have Galiraya and Namaganda that have been closed. These two arcades have been closed because cases have been found in these two arcades. We have 3 factories that have been closed because cases have been found in these 2 places. Now we have a bigger number of COVID-19 cases. Kampala is said to be a hotspot of COVID-19 in the country, the second, and we're looking at a situation where more deaths are being registered. Do you think the 2021 elections are going to happen?
They will.
Regardless,
regardless, even if we lose about 200 people,
because there are speculations that we are going to have another lockdown.
Even if you have 3 lockdowns, we shall have elections.
That's what Simon Chris thinks. On that note, Simon Chris, let's have what our viewers are saying on Facebook. Let's read a few of their comments, and then we will go for a break and come back with the topic of discussion with Dr. Mondo.
Well, we were talking about the story of the journalist, the former WBS journalist who was beaten up by security people. Yakubu Musasizi Mayanja agambye nti on the matter of the beaten journalist, it's absurd that we have used taxpayers' money to invest in training for security personnel after that they failed to apply the knowledge obtained from the training. At the end of it, we spend millions of compensation just because they failed to respect the code of professionalism.
The LDU saga.
And then Peter Kiwuka said, watching live from Guatemala prison. Meanwhile, let's take a break, and then I will be back with a topic of discussion. Meanwhile, keep the comments coming on whatever story that we shall be sharing with you. For now, it's a good morning.
Akakiiko k'ebyokulonda kategese ennaku ez'okulonda obukiiko bw'abantu abakiikirirwa ab'enjawulo special interest groups omuli abakadde older persons, abaliko obulemu persons with disabilities n'abavubuka youth ku mutendera gw'ebyalo. Okulonda kw'obukiiko buno kujja kubeerawo ku nnaku ez'enjawulo ezirambikiddwa bwammanga mu byalo byonna okwetooloola eggwanga. Okulonda obukiiko bw'abaliko obulemu PWDs ku byalo kwakubaawo nga 13 Ogw'omunaana 2020. Okulonda obukiiko bw'abavubuka youth ku byalo kwakubaawo nga 17 Ogw'omunaana 2020. Akalulu kakwetabwamu abo bokka abagwa mu biti ebyo waggulu eby'enkizo era nga kusimba mu mugongo gwa candidate gw'oyagala okulonda oba ekipande kye, agenti we oba akabonero ke. Bonna abagenda okwetaba mu kalulu